Today we're going to have a look at putting a white border around your images, and we're going to use the software program Photopea. All the links I'll put in the description below, but basically we're going to use this software to put a nice white frame border around our images, and I'm going to show you the steps. I'm also going to show you how you can do a batch automate process so you can apply this white frame border to a whole series of images, whether it's 50 or 100 images, and I'll show you exactly the steps that you need in order to do just that. So here are the steps. So go to Google, and you can you have a choice here of using the app in a browser, or you can actually download it. So I've downloaded it because what I want to do is access a folder which I've got on my computer, because I'm going to do a batch automate on the action that I've created in order to apply a white frame border to a series of images. So I'll go through the steps and I'll show you exactly how we do this. So starting with the images which I've created in Capture One, I've downloaded into a folder, and they are here. So what I'll do is I'm going to bring in one image, and I will apply. So I'm going to bring in one image, and I will now add this border to this image. So I go to Image, Canvas Size, and here I'm going to choose %. Now it's a landscape image, so I can do 110%, and I press OK. That's going to apply this border around. So when I export this as a JPEG, that will become a white border. Now I could do a slightly different canvas size. I can do 110. And I can actually move this dot around. So for example, if I do that, it will put the border not on this on the left-hand side, it'll apply it to the other side. So if I just Command Z, I'm working off a Mac, so Control Z or Command Z will just undo that last process. Let's move that there. 110, 140 on the width, 110 on the height, and that will give a nice frame, and I can apply that. So if I export the image now, and I'm going to export this as a JPEG, but there are a series of options there. I'll choose a JPEG, and I will just mark that. I'm going to also change the width, which will automatically change the height. I'm going to keep it at 100% and save that. So now all I need to do is double click, and that's the image that we've just created. So that's by far and away one of the nicest ways of applying a frame. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is repeat the process. I'm going to open and I'm going to show you how I do that using an action which I've created in Photopea. Again, double click on the same image, and I'm going to go to Window this time, Actions, and I'll go through the process and show you how I build these actions. So firstly, I need to create an action set, then I need to create an action. So I'll call this action set. Just double click on that, white borders. And then the action itself is a landscape border. And I'm now going to record the series of actions that I need to do in order to make this something that we can use for a batch process. So So I'm going to record now, and I'm going to go into image, canvas size, 140, 110. I'm going to leave that in the middle. I'll press OK. I'll just continue. I want to export that as a JPEG with a 2048 width. I'll just append that with A, save, and then stop. So now what I can do is I can close the picture. I can open from the computer. I can open the same file, but instead of going through all those steps, just reduce that. Instead of going through all those steps, I can come here. I can choose this action, and I can play, and it automatically adds the frame to the image. Okay, and I can repeat that by adding a new action, and this time I can do a portrait border, and I can, let's just close that, just open the image again. Now, this was a portrait, so I'm going to, at this point here, I will now record image, canvas size, and this time the 110 is at the width and 140 on the height. And I've recorded that. I can export as a JPEG again. And 2048. I'm leaving everything else. Just adding a B for this one. Save. Okay, and these are then downloaded into my downloads folder. So those are the two actions that I've set. This is the action set. So now what I want to do, I will close this, is we're going to automate the whole process. And I'm going to file, automate, batch. So now it's asking for the images. So I'm going to use the folder. I've also created a copy of this folder. There's 12 images in each, because what I want to do is, if there's a problem and I don't want to delete, I want to have a copy, a backup copy of all my images. So if I open these images, these are all going to have a white border applied to them. So I'm going to open those. And as you can see, it's just put those images into this list. I'm going to choose the action set. That's this. And I can choose either the landscape border or the portrait border. And for this one, I think actually I'm going to try the portrait one. You can set up a whole series of these. If you wanted 110% on one side, 105 on the other. It depends how big or small you want your borders to be. And I suggest that you play around with it and see what suits your images, whether they're square or be consistent. If you're doing this for Instagram, you want to make sure that your borders are all the same size, so that the images on your grid all look consistent. So we're going to resize. I want the maximum width to be 2048, and the maximum height is going to be 2048 as well. Now this will set the image, if it is 2048, so as a 2K image, I don't have to worry about the height being any bigger than that. This will it will resize it in proportion, so I know that it's not going to be any bigger than that. I want the image size to be 80%. I'm going to now process the images, and what will happen is it will download a zip file with all of those images ready. So I press this, and here the images are prepared now into a zip folder. So I'll just double click on that. This is the image folder that's been created. And now I've got a white border on all of those images. So if I highlight them, open with preview and maximize the screen, you can see all of these images now have got a white border applied to all of them. And it's quite effective. It's actually a very simple and easy way to certainly make your pictures stand out. Certainly before I was working with digital cameras, I used to print images in the darkroom, and you would always use, for example, Ilford 10-inch by 8-inch photographic paper. And when you were photographing, when you were developing images, there was always a lovely white border, which made it very nice and easy for you to put into a frame. And so this is just digitally the way you would do it to bring your to get the most out of your photographs. So I really recommend this. And those are the steps that you need in order to create a set of actions, to do a batch automate, and to apply white frames or white borders around your photographs in a consistent manner. So I hope you like the video. Please, if you do, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more photo tips and how my workflow for working with images in Capture One and Photopea or Photoshop, then please do subscribe today, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks very much.